Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the new primary weapon, the Trumna Prime. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits. Meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframes using abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies, things like that. I just test the weapon, built out, by itself, and I let the viewers make their own intelligent conclusions about adding those external things. Things like, hey, Salt put viral on the weapon, but I'm going to be using nourish, so maybe I'll use a different element. Things like that. Okay, so the Trumna Prime was introduced yesterday with the introduction of Zaku Prime. And if anyone knows me, I love the Trumna. The Trumna was my favorite weapon in the entire game. And now we have the Trumna Prime, which is pretty much just a straight up upgrade. The only drawback of it over the regular Trumna is that it has a slightly lower Riven disposition, but that's about it. Everything else is a positive. We have the top commenter of the last video, KS Nanosquid, and we have the first commenter of the last video. It was hard for me to track who the first one was. I think it might have been Kassar816, and so I'll give him credit for it, but it could have been someone else. I'm sorry if I missed you. And we have the recent supporters of Johnny, Eddie, and Lovio. Thank you so much for your support. Okay. Let's go into the Trumna here. So this thing is a beautiful looking weapon. I really liked the look of the old Trumna. However, the old Trumna had some really ugly textures. The actual model was really nice, but the textures were really crappy. But they did this thing right. I mean, look at this thing. That is beautiful. Okay, so let's go into the build here. And before we go over the mods, we're going to go over unique and interesting things about the Trumna. So the Trumna is a machine gun, and it fires these bullets or shells that explode when they hit a target. There's a small little blast radius on them. It also has an alternate fire, which is like a cluster grenade launcher. But you cannot fire that alternate fire all the time. To be able to fire the alternate fire, you need to charge it by getting kills with your primary fire. So 5 kills on your primary fire will charge it all the way up to be able to alternate fire. And you'll have a little gauge in the middle of your screen that will show you where you are to be able to fire that alternate fire. Other interesting things about this, and this might be more of a bug than it is an interesting thing, so this could be fixed, is if you look here, this says punch through is 0, and I guess it says it's locked at 0. But I have tested this many times because I didn't want to put this video out with wrong information. And using punch through with prime shred still works. This works perfectly fine. So maybe they'll fix this and then all of a sudden punch through won't work anymore. But for right now, as of recording, punch through does work. And so I'm going to be using prime shred when we get to it eventually here. So, but just consider that it does technically say 0, so that could change. The other interesting thing about the Trumna Prime is that it comes with innate heat. So that's really nice. You get heat without having to put it on the weapon. It also makes modding for certain things like blast and gas very easy because heat goes into both of those. What else for the interesting things? Oh, here's another interesting thing about it. And this is involving multiplicative condition overload through galvanized aptitude. So the Trumna Prime, parts of its attack is multiplicative condition overload. Not all of its attack. Its actual, normal machine gun is not multiplicative condition overload. Only the explosive of the machine gun and the explosive of the alternate fire is considered multiplicative condition overload. And if you look at galvanized aptitude, only direct damage is going to be increasing your damage. So it's not really worth using. Now, if you go on the condition overload mechanic page, it takes them a little bit to update this. So the information that I'm saying about the multiplicativity of this weapon is based on the old Trumna. I don't think it will change for the new Trumna. I think it's still going to be about the same, but just keep that in mind. Maybe it does come out that the primary fire, the regular shots, are multiplicative. And then in that case, it would be worth using galvanized aptitude. But for right now, with the information that we have, and I'm going to assume it's going to stay like this, galvanized aptitude is not worth it because the actual most of your damage of this weapon is not going to be taking that multiplicativity into account. Okay, I think that's everything about the unique and interesting things about the Trumna Prime. I think we can finally get into the mods here. So we have Galvanized Chamber for multi-shot. We have Galvanized Scope for critical chance. At fully maxed out, this is going to be 320% critical chance. We have Prime Shred for fire rate and punch through. Prime Shred is very powerful if the punch through actually works, and so that's why I'm using it. Now, the unfortunate thing with Prime Shred is that it is a login reward, and so a lot of people won't have Prime Shred, and so in that case, you just use Vial Acceleration, which in fact is a 90% fire rate. So you actually get more fire rate out of Vial Acceleration, so you shouldn't feel too bad. If you don't have Prime Shred, don't worry about it. You can use Vial Acceleration right here. And I have a feeling, you know, maybe they'll go back and they'll fix this, so we may eventually have to use Vial Acceleration anyway. We'll see. All right. In the next slot here, we have Bladed Rounds. Bladed Rounds is going to give us 120% critical damage when we're aiming. We're going to be aiming in on this build because we're going for headshots with Galvanized Scope. We're going for headshots with Primary Deadhead, so that makes sense to use Bladed Rounds. Bladed Rounds is also your Riven slot. So your Riven slot is either Bladed Rounds or your Fire Rate mod, one or the other. If you get Fire Rate on your Riven, then this would be your Riven slot. You would take this off, or Vial Acceleration, whatever you had here, and this would be your Riven slot. If your Riven does not have Fire Rate, then Bladed Rounds is your Riven slot. Pretty simple. Okay, now we go with Critical Delay for 200% crit chance, Vital Sense for another 120% crit damage, and then we're going to be going for Viral, which we're going to be using the 60-60 Toxin, and Primed Cryo Rounds to make Viral here. I have an actual like spreadsheet of the element damage that I did this morning, like tests. And so I'll explain why I go with Viral and what another option is if you're using a external Viral primer. Okay, in the Exo slot, we're going to be going with Stabilizer. So Stabilizer, if you for some reason are building this out yourself and you're not really following what I'm doing, and you're not using any fire rate, you probably don't need Stabilizer. But if you're using any kind of fire rate, like whether it's through a Riven or through Prime Shred or through Vial Acceleration, the weapon does kick a lot with any kind of fire rate. So you do want to be using Stabilizer. In the Arcane slot, we're going to be using Primary Deadhead. This is going to give us 360% flat damage, and it also gives us plus 30% headshot multiplier and negative 50% weapon recoil. So this is going to further help with that recoil from Stabilizer. Again, if you're using a fire rate mod. If you're not using a fire rate mod, Deadhead by itself is kind of enough. Okay, and so that is how you build out the Trumna Prime. Viral or Corrosive are going to be your top damage sources for this weapon. So if you're using a Viral primer, of course, you're going to use Corrosive instead of Viral. But if you're not using a Viral primer, you might want to use Viral instead of Corrosive. So let me go out of here real quick, and I'm going to bring up my spreadsheet that I have that I did the test on this morning. Are you ready, guys? Here we go. Okay, Trumna Prime. I did element testing this morning. Kill counts for 5-minute runs. We did these tests on Steel Path Ophelia against Grineer enemies. The reason I chose this map is because Viral, Blast, and Gas have no benefits or negatives against Grineer enemies. I did not test Corrosive because Corrosive would have had a benefit against Grineer. So Corrosive obviously would have done a lot better than all of these. However, in my large element test that I did a few months ago, we came to the conclusion that Corrosive and Viral are extremely similar. They're almost exactly the same in their kill potential. Only being that Corrosive will beat out Viral against Grineer and Murmur, and Viral will beat out Corrosive in the other factions. Slightly. They're both very, very close. So you could assume that Corrosive, probably would be right there neck and neck with Viral if it wasn't against Grineer. Grineer, of course, Corrosive's going to do better. So we did 3 runs for each of these. And I want to just point out that Blast and Gas are able to produce that mixed element with only 1 mod. So they actually get a free mod slot. And so when I did the Blast and Gas, not only were they Blast and Gas, but they also had an extra mod of Hammer Shot on. Whereas Viral didn't, because Viral takes 2 of the mods to make Viral. However, you get Viral and Heat because of that. Okay, so Viral, in its 3 runs, it got 366, 360, 373 for a total of 1,099 kills in 3 runs. Blast with Hammer Shot got 250, 307, 281 for a total in 3 runs of 838. Gas with Hammer Shot got 310, 325, and 320 for its 3 runs for a total of 955. So it's also worth noting that Viral and Corrosive, honestly. So Viral and Corrosive feel good all the time. They always feel good. Blast and Gas feel really bad if there's only 1 or 2 enemies in front of you, but they feel really good if there's a lot of enemies in front of you because they're more AoE focused. So Blast and Gas are more situational elements. Like, they can do really good, but you need to have a lot of enemies in front of you. Now, the nature of my tests is that I pick a tile set that has 2 entry points, and I just go back and forth. I kill one side, then I switch around and I kill the other side. And that would, like, the nature of my test actually kind of gives a leg up to Blast and Gas because of that, because there's usually like 2 choke points that I'm kind of just testing these elements on. But even giving a leg up to Blast and Gas, you see that they do lose out here to Viral. So, you know, these tests, if I was to redo these tests, of course, you're going to get different numbers. So, like, I only really consider differences of 100 kills or more significant, but we do see a significant difference, right? Gas is over 100 kills more than Blast, and Viral is over 100 kills more than Gas. So there is a significant difference between all 3 of these. So if you were just raw dogging it without a Viral primer, Viral is going to be your best option. However, if you were using a Viral primer, then Corrosive, you would assume, is going to be the next best option because it's usually right up there with Viral. Okay, let me go back to the gameplay here. So that's why we have chosen for this video to go with Viral, but remember, Corrosive is fine too. You would just do Electric and Toxic, right? Toxic and Electric here. So, okay, now we've gone over the build. We've explained why we've chosen the elements that we've chosen. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a 10-minute run on Steel Path and just kind of show the weapon off, see how it works. And we're going to establish our 10-minute kill count for when we eventually do a tier list. So we always do it on Void in Mott. Keep in mind, Mott enemies are vulnerable to Viral, so it'll be a little bit skewed into Viral being perceived as a bit stronger, but that's okay. We'll take that into consideration when we do the tier list eventually.
These foes deserve your respect. Honor them with quick deaths, and I with your victory.
I won't be using any abilities that affect weapon performance. I don't have any mods on my Inaros that affect weapon performance. I'm not using any Sentinel weapon, so there is self-stagger on this, so be careful with that. Let's get our stacks up, and then we should be rolling. So do you see that little gauge in the middle of my screen? As I'm killing things, it's kind of filling up. One more kill. Now I'm able to alternate fire. Boom. And you get that cluster grenade, and I have self-staggered myself. So it's going to be... Let me put on my anti-stagger here. That's the only ability I'm going to be using. But it's important, when you're using this weapon, you probably want to find some kind of way to not get staggered, whether that's through a Warframe ability or a mod or something, because the cluster grenades are pretty crazy. They bounce all over the place. They go all over. So even if you try to shoot them away from yourself, they might like bounce back at you. But very, very powerful. The damage this does to Acolytes is okay. However, the alternate fire will a lot of times just one-shot the Acolyte. So if the Acolyte comes up, try to save up a shot for him, and then just alternate fire into him. And most of the time, it's just a one-shot. There used to be a weird interaction with Zephyr with this weapon. I don't know if it's still the case with the Prime. But the old Trumna, so like normally the alternate fire can't charge itself. You have to primary fire to charge the alternate fire. So you can't like double cast the alternate fire. But Zephyr had this weird, I don't want to say, I don't know if it was like a bug or an exploit or something. So like, you know, I'm not really advocating for it, you know, of course. But like there was this weird thing where if you shot into your tornadoes with your alternate fire, sometimes it would charge itself. It wasn't like all the time, but sometimes it would charge itself. So like when you were playing Zephyr and you were shooting into your tornadoes with your Trumna, with the alternate fire, like half the time you were able to like double click your alternate fire, which is pretty cool. And again, I don't know if that's intended or not. I don't know if that's intended or if it's a bug or whatnot, so. You can see you can alternate fire actually like pretty often with this weapon, just because it's only 5 kills, and right now because punch through is working, even though it kind of says like it shouldn't. Like it's easy to get those 5 kills. Kind of just farm down a hallway or something, and you know punch through everything. Another thing about the Trumna that maybe I should have said during like the unique and interesting things, although it's not too unique or interesting, but it has a slightly above average crit damage multiplier. So any kind of percent to crit damage is going to do a little bit more than it normally would on a normal weapon. So crit damage is definitely going to be your best Riven stat, then multi-shot, then crit chance. But again, if you get fire rate on your Riven, it's not a bad thing either, because you could just replace your fire rate mod. So let's get this up to 5 stacks, and we're just going to find... Where is the... There he is. He's right next to me. There we go. 1 shot. 1 alternate fire into him. All right, we're at the 5-minute mark. Got 5 more minutes left, and then we'll see what our kill numbers are.
Behold the Tenno, come to scavenge and desecrate this sacred realm.
When I did the run for the regular Trumna, I had extremely high kill numbers. It was the second highest kill number that I had produced, right behind the Torrid. And when I did the old tier list, I actually had to like rein in the tier for the Trumna, because I was like, all right, most people aren't going to think this is the second best weapon in the game. I think it's just because I've played it so much that I had a lot of experience about like how to shoot the alternate fire to get like the max kills for it. Although it is very random, so sometimes you know you fail on alternate fire shots.
It is time. I will teach these trespassers.
So I had to like bring it down 1 tier because it because of its kill count, it should have been like right under the Torrid, and I'm like, all right, most people aren't gonna think that it's better than like the Burst in Prime or the Boar Incarnate. So I had to rein in my ranking of it.
An imposter who knows not the secrets of the void.
Let me put some stagger immunity back on because I'm getting thrown around.
This will I want. Behold, they cut me down, but still I
All right, we got about 3 minutes left.
I am energy, and I cannot be destroyed.
And you get the alternate fire so often, because it's only like 5 kills to get it, that do not sit on it. If your alternate fire is ready to shoot, find any kind of group and just launch it, because you're going to get another alternate fire very quickly. So even if you don't think it's going to get like crazy value, just launch it anyway. Like there, I shot it in the hallway with like 2 dudes. That was not very good value there. Another thing I probably should have clarified on my testing of the Trumna is that during the tests for Blast, Gas, and Viral, I never alternate fired, ever. And it was because there's too much variables with the alternate fire. They bounce around too randomly. So sometimes alternate fires are going to get massive value, and sometimes they're not. And I didn't like that for testing it. It would have given me kind of like weird results. I would have had to... You know, because of course I only do 3. I do 3 tests for each element. I would have maybe had to do like 10 tests for each element to get a clearer number if the numbers had more like outliers to it. So for that reason, I didn't alternate fire in any of the tests. I just did the primary firing. We got 1 more minute left here. And I think tomorrow we'll do the other weapon that came out with Zaku. What was it? The Quasis? I think it was the Quasis. It's like a war fan. I don't know if we've done a war fan yet. Let's get the 5 stacks, and then we'll throw this into Angst's face. Oh, there he is. Let's get some here. Boom! There we go. 1 shot. And I'm staggering myself again, so I'm going to put my stagger immunity back on. 30 more seconds, and we'll see what our kill count is for 10 minutes.
Extraction is ready.
I know. We only got 5 seconds. Let's see. Let's try to get some more kills in 5 seconds. Yeah, I'm going for a reload. Okay. So, let's stop killing. Let's head towards extraction, and then we'll check our kill count. Is 919. That's very, very good. I think the old Trumna kill count was like 950. So, of course, there's not all runs are going to be the same. You're going to get luckier or unluckier in certain runs.
Life support levels. Extraction is your best option.
But 919 is pretty damn good. A lot of the extreme meta weapons we've done have been like 1,000 to 1,100. So 919 is like, you know, it's not the same as some of those extreme meta weapons like the Torrid, but it is pretty damn close.
As you conquer the foe, so you conquer yourself.
So yeah, that was the Trumna Prime. I really love this weapon. My favorite weapon in the game. And now the Trumna Prime is my new favorite weapon in the game. So if you guys like the video, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.